Okay, we're looking today at Revelation 14. Revelation 14 is presenting to us the coming 3.5 years of the tribulation. In this chapter, we start out by seeing the 144,000 that had been prepared for the first part of the tribulation. We now see that they are in heaven, and it's not told to us whether they're raptured or martyred like the two witnesses. Chapter 14 is announcing the great tribulation, the next 3.5 years, which is God's wrath poured down on earth. And it's an announcement of it. It's not a fulfillment of it. That's the key we have to understand here. In this chapter, we see that there are three angels that proclaim the gospel to the whole nations. The church was the witness during the church age, but once the rapture occurs, the church is no longer there to witness, so the 144,000 are chosen, and the two witnesses come on earth, and then they are taken away halfway through the tribulation, and now for the final, the great tribulation, the time where God is punishing the earth at the end, there is angels that are proclaiming the gospel. The end of chapter 14 introduces us to the Great Tribulation, and it talks about it as it were the final harvest. And we will see that the imagery is found in both the Old Testament and the New Testament of this final harvest. One key part of chapter 14 is that it talks about hell. This harvest has a lot to do with hell. Alright, so it starts out with 144,000 here. Revelation 14, 1-5. Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb, standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his Father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of rushing waters, and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like that of harpists playing their harps, and they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. No one can learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. These are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remained virgins. They followed the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among mankind and offered as firstfruit to God and the Lamb. No lie was found in their mouths, and they are blameless. The 144,000 are found here on Mount Zion, and that is the Mount Zion that is in heaven. This is not Jerusalem. And so they have somehow been raptured or martyred. The 24 elders are present, and as we had seen before in the introduction of these 144,000, the 24 elders with their harps start to sing a song that only they can sing, which we find in Revelation 5, and the 144,000 can sing along with them. So this is a song only these 24 and the 144,000 are able to sing. The 144,000 are all men, because it is written in verse 4, these are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remain virgins. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These 144,000 are all men. They're all chosen witnesses to work throughout the first 3.5 years of the tribulation. This seems to point to the fact that they will come back on earth for the 1,000-year reign of Jesus, and they will be with him during that time. Then we'll move on here to the three angels. Revelation 14, 6-13 is the first angel. Then I saw another angel flying in midair, and he had the eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. He said in a loud voice, "Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water." The way he defines God here is that we are to worship the God who makes the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water. A lot of the things that have been happening during the tribulation have to do with the stars in heaven, with the earth being burnt up, with the sea being turned to blood, and the springs of water being turned to blood. So all these things are given to us by God, and God is using plagues on these things to punish the world. So the first angel is proclaiming the eternal gospel. This is his main message to the people of the earth. He's saying four things here. He's saying, fear God, give him glory, judgment has come, and worship him. So, as we said before in chapter 13, the mark of the beast and the setting up of his image and all this is all about worship. It is Satan trying to get the worship of all mankind. And the angel is warning the people of earth, do not worship Satan, but worship the one who deserves being worshipped, the one worthy of worship, and that is God who created the heaven and the earth. So this whole thing is about worship here. And you will remember in chapter 13 that worship was a word that was continually being repeated. Revelation 13:4, people worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshiped the beast. Revelation 13:8, all the inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast. Revelation 13:12, the second beast made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast. And Revelation 13:5, the second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refused to worship the image to be killed. So the whole thing is about worship. It is very clear that the people of the earth will know exactly what they're doing when they're worshiping Satan. They will know who he is, and they will know who God is. The battle lines have been drawn here. People have taken their sides, and they know exactly whose side they have taken. No one's going to be taking this sign of the beast without knowing what it means, without knowing that it means complete submission to Satan himself and to the beast. So no one's going to be deceived in this way. They are going to be deceived by Satan in that they will think that he can beat God and that he can somehow thwart God's plan for his people, and they will understand exactly what's going on here. But they will be hardened. Anyone who is willing to take this mark has been hardened, and his heart has been set, and he no longer can change his mind. First of all, Revelation 6:15-17, it tells us right at the beginning, before the tribulation has started, when the rapture has occurred, that everybody on earth knows exactly what's going on. And at that time, they understand what has happened. Revelation 6:15-17, then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in caves and among the rocks and the mountains. They called to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it? The people of the earth have seen God sitting on his throne. They have seen the Lamb come down and take his bride away, and they are really scared. They are going to be deceived by Satan. They are going to believe him when he comes and shows his power and tells them that he can take care of things. Revelation 9:20-21 tells us that even throughout the tribulation, they refuse to repent, and they keep on worshiping demons and demonic beings. Revelation 9:20-21, the rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues still did not repent of the work of their hands. They did not stop worshiping demons and idols of gold, silver, bronze, stone, and wood, idols that cannot see or hear, walk, nor did they repent of their murders, their magic arts, their sexual immorality, or of their theft. So they refuse here to follow God, and they know exactly what's going on here. Revelation 11:7-11 tells us that the whole world knows who the two witnesses are, and the whole world hates these two witnesses. That means they have been listening to what they say, they hate what they say, and of course these two witnesses are telling them about the truth and about God and his kingdom. Now when they had finished their testimony, the beast that comes up from the abyss will attack them and overpower and kill them. Their bodies will lie in the public square of the great city, where also their Lord was crucified. For 3.5 days, some from every people, tribe, language, and nation will gaze on their bodies and refuse them burial. The inhabitants of the earth will gloat over them and will celebrate by sending each other gifts, because these two prophets had tormented those who live on the earth. But after the 3.5 days, the breath of life from God entered them, and they stood on their feet, and terror struck those who saw them. at the point when the people of this world are forced to take the mark of the beast, they will know exactly what that means. They are worshiping Satan and choosing to set themselves against the God who created everything. And this will be completely understood by everyone at that time. No one is going to be taking this mark by mistake, and this mark is not going to be forced on people in that they're going to be tied down and they're going to be forced to take this mark. It's going to be forced on them in that they still need a choice. It's either they take it or they die, as we had said before. And now we see in chapter 14 that the angel comes and makes this gospel presentation and makes this fact very clear to everybody. As we continue on, we will come to the battle of Armageddon. How in the world can people be so deceived that they think they can still fight against the God who created everything? How is Satan so deceived? Revelation 19:19. Then I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to wage war against the rider on the horse and his army. The reason why they're still doing this, first of all, is they have no other choice. They have took their stand. They have taken this mark, and they know that what they have done is irreversible. So they have to go all the way now. And so they're going to just go on and go all out and try their best to take over. Another thing here is that God is also going to hand them over, and God is going to harden their hearts. And this is what happened to the Pharaoh back in Egypt when Moses came and asked him to let his people go. First of all, the Bible tells us that Pharaoh hardened his heart. Exodus 8:15, but when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and would not listen to Moses and Aaron, just as the Lord had said. Exodus 8:32, but this time also Pharaoh hardened his heart and will not let the people go. And so several times Pharaoh hardens his own heart. He refuses to let the people go. He refuses to obey the God of gods. And then it's repeated over and over again that it is God that hardens Pharaoh's heart. Exodus 9:12, 9:34, and 10:1, 10:20, and 10:27, 11:10, 14:8. I'm not going to read them all. I'll just jump down and read 14:8 here. Exodus 14:8. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, so that he pursued the Israelites who were marching out boldly. At first, it's a choice that Pharaoh takes. He chooses to go against God, and then God hardens his heart, and it is no longer a choice. And later, even when his son dies, Pharaoh is so hardened that he goes back and he chases after the Israelites. And this is what happens in the book of Revelation here. People first harden their own hearts, they take the mark, and then they're hardened, and they've gotten to the point of no return, and then they have to go all out. Hebrews 3:15, this is what it says. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your heart as you did in the rebellion. Be careful, choose properly while you can, because the time is quickly coming where God is going to allow people to be deceived, especially in nations where we grew up with Christian background. We knew what was right. We heard what was right. We know about Jesus. We know about the Bible. We had the 10 Commandments written everywhere. We prayed in our schools in earlier times. And we've turned our backs on that, but it's still not too late. We can still choose to turn and obey God, but there will be a time where deception will be so great that opportunity is going to flee. And not only that, but there's a time when God will say, I will abandon you into your own desires, as we saw in Romans 1. And there is a time coming when God will harden our hearts. It's no longer us hardening our hearts, it's Him. And that is a horrible thing, as you will see as we read on in the next few days.